Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you once again for tuning in here. I'm Haneefah Khaaliq, and I'm live streaming right now on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, and YouTube. I want to take this moment to thank StreamYard for making this all possible. StreamYard does make it possible to live stream on multiple social media platforms at once. Um, and so this is my fourth virtual town hall, actually, that I'm doing today for Lafayette, Indiana. And I hope there's some people tuning in from Lafayette, Indiana, or will be tuning in the future. I am running for the office of the United States Senate in Indiana in 2022, and I'm starting my campaign right now because that's what I believe I'm going to need to do in order to win. I'd like to start off by informing listeners that each Saturday from June through September, with an exception for July 4th at 1 p.m., I will be hosting these virtual town halls from all of my social media accounts. The virtual town halls were originally scheduled to be in person, but as COVID-19 would have it, here we are today. So while I'm not sure if site doors will be open at the places of my original intention, I'm hoping my campaign sends a strong message of precaution and safety during these COVID-19 times as cases continue to rise here and there. So first, for those of you who have been tuning in each Saturday, thank you so much. And to my listeners from Lafayette, thank you also for tuning in. I'll always start off my town halls with an introduction, go into some national issues, and conclude with some news you can use. Now, before I go into my message, I want to start out by stating the obvious, and that is that there's a lot going on in the world right now, as it always has. Nothing is new about that. There's always a bunch of stuff going on in the world, but that's why it's important to remember to take care of yourself uh, in the middle of it all and to take care of your family. The second thing is to remember to reach out and ask for help if you need it. There's nothing wrong with reaching out for help. You can even call me if I'm available. I will answer at my phone number 317-999-5592. And if I can help you with whatever issue you are having, I will find out who can help you because we're all in this together. The third thing you must remember to do is to register to vote and fill out your census. I got into a little spat last week, a few weeks ago, with someone who stated voting was not the most powerful voice you could have. I think it is, folks. And what makes it the most powerful voice you can have is that it is a permanent record of your civic engagement. And right along with that goes the power of the census. People are sometimes upset because they claim they're not being counted. Well, if you don't fill out your census, what do you expect? Okay. So please, folks, fill out your census. It only takes a second. All right. So once again, for those of you just now tuning in, I am Haneefah Khaaliq, and I'm running for the office of the United States Senate right here in Indiana in 2022. And I'm starting my campaign right now because that's what I need to do in order to win. There's so many ways to donate. You can head over to my ActBlue account. The name of my committee is Hoosiers for Haneefah. And thank you so much for your contribution. Now, I'd like to shift gears into my introduction. So remember now, if you have been tuning in each Saturday, well, this is going to sound a little bit like a broken record, but bear with me. I do need all Hoosiers to know who I am and where I come from. So let's dive right in. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. After my mom divorced, she remarried my stepfather and my family. We moved to the suburbs of Illinois. And when the steel mill shut down, we packed up and we moved to Indiana. I've been a proud Hoosier ever since 2000. I graduated from Lake Central High School in St. John, Indiana, and I went on to graduate successfully from both IUPUI in Indianapolis and Valparaiso University School of Law. While at IUPUI, I was the president of a Christian student organization and a youth minister for my church. Now, you may be wondering how I acquired such an unusual name. Well, my biological father at the time of my birth did practice Islam. So although I grew up in a Christian household, I retained my name, which is in fact Arabic in nature. Having a Christian mother and a biological father who practiced Islam, I can tell you and I can honestly say that I have the deepest respect and appreciation for all religions, and even those who may choose not to practice it at all. While in Indianapolis, Indiana, I became a public school teacher for IPS, and now I'm a professor, a lawyer, a business owner, civil rights agency director, and of course, I'm running to be your next United States Senator. My family's economic status ranged from poor to middle class, and that's something I'm proud about. Because as a child, I remember seeing my stepdad go to work and come from work every day from the mill. He would come home in the middle of the night covered with dirt, and that taught me that it takes hard work to make a good, honest living. We were a proud, hard-working union family, and that's how you can be sure I'll mean business when it comes to protecting workers and unions. When I was a student at IUPUI, I also learned the importance of volunteerism. Volunteering is what gave me all the experience in public service. I was an AmeriCorps volunteer for years. I also volunteered with the American Red Cross, the Food Bank of Northwest Indiana, Habitat for Humanity. I volunteered in jails, senior living communities, and so much more. That's how Hoosiers can be sure I will never be driven by money as a politician. Because in my life, at moments when I worked the hardest, I did it for free. In 2017, instead of going to intern for so many law firms, I was at Sojourner Truth House, located right here in Gary, Indiana, providing free legal assistance and information to women and children in need. My experience as a community volunteer gave me the humility and the perseverance I would need in order to be your leader someday. So you'll find that I'm a well-rounded individual, one who not only understands people, but most of all, I know how to listen. I know what it's like to not have enough money to pay the bills because the boss doesn't want to give you a livable wage. I understand what it's like to file unemployment and temporarily be on food stamps. And I know what it's like to not want to call 911 because you're worried about the bill that will come later. I also understand having student loan debt and seeing a loved one go off to war to fight in a battle in a country he's never been to. I know what it's like to roll up my sleeves and paint over graffiti to make a neighborhood look better. And finally, I understand what it's like to not have a single representative reach out to you and actually care enough to bring you to the table or your ideas. Yes, I know what it's like to be ignored, but it is the silence from these individuals that gives me all the energy I need to keep fighting for you. Now, I may not have any political experience, but let me tell you something I do have, Hoosiers. I have life experiences. that have catapulted me into a position where I know I can lead you. So I'm going to sit down right here and wait patiently for 2022 to come, for you to raise your voice and make it possible for people like me to be on that ballot. Once again, for those of you tuning in, I'm Haneefah Khaaliq, running for United States Senate right here in Indiana in 2022. And I'm starting my campaign right now because that's what I believe it's going to take in order for me to win. Now, there are so many ways to donate. One of them is through my Act Blue. The name of my committee is Hoosiers for Haneefah. And thank you so much for your contribution. So why am I running to be your next United States Senator? I get this question all the time because right now there's very little representation for all Hoosiers in the upper chamber of Congress. I think we need to change our understanding of the office because I think most of us may be sadly mistaken. We've been looking at it all wrong. Look, in this country, we have local offices, we have state offices, and we have federal offices. Unlike the popular view, I don't see these offices as some sort of a mountain to climb to the top. I view these offices as being on their own individual planes because that's what our founding fathers and mothers intended. Now, I could have chosen to run for office at any of these levels, but I chose the federal level because that's where I believe I would be able to make the most difference. Our founding fathers and mothers intended for people to be accurately represented. They wanted our United States senators to work hard at it, but they also wanted people like you and me, the average working American, to run for office, right? Because we're not out of touch with society. We're not out of touch with community, and we understand what's going on in our neighborhoods. It is my opinion that one can only represent their constituents as much as they are out there and amongst them. It's hard to not be accommodating to people or help them when you are with them. For example, all right, it would be hard for me, Lafayette, as an elected leader, to stand by and not defend Hoosiers like Ruby and Ashley Henderson, the same-sex couple from Lafayette, who had to sue the Indiana Department of Health just to place their names on their child's birth certificate. As a possible future senator, I have to ask, when are people going to start minding their own business and stop telling people who they can love? Now, I know for a fact that there is a growing population of LGBTQ plus individuals in this state, but not only in the state, in the entire country. States must learn right now to mind their own business and stay out of the private lives of citizens. You can argue with me, but I believe the Supreme Court will back me up. So, ladies and gentlemen, those in between and those who choose not to identify, we are and we remain in a state of urgency on so many issues, I don't even know where to begin. I need you to start electing officials who you know have a heart, and a heart that is alive. Even if it's not me, choose someone who you know is alive, because right now I'm afraid we've got a bunch of zombies walking around on Capitol Hill, and they don't know the first thing about our passions, our desires. They've become detached from our fights, our triumphs, our struggles, our successes. By God, they won't even employ staff to find out what they are. Can you imagine? All those millions of dollars piling up, pouring into their campaigns constantly, and yet they still can't pay for enough help to make sure they're in every Hoosier community, collecting the data they need to represent you. They couldn't even stay ahead of the curve of this pandemic. What a mess. Don't even get me started. And where is the coronavirus task force? Why was it disbanded? And why on earth is the administration removing funding for testing sites in a time when cases are on the rise? Enough is enough. We have United States senators. Additionally, we have United States senators for this state right now I have to be honest with you folks, it's utterly depressing. The one started out great with being all for police reform, but then didn't even invite any police officers or anyone from the police officer community to the table before he introduced a bill that, in my opinion, misses the mark. The other one joined in with his party on their bill, which in my opinion still somewhat falls short. But then he turned around and thought he'd make a kind gesture by signing on to make Juneteenth a national holiday, which I think it's great. I think it's great. But what does that have to do with police reform and the concern right now that the community has for police violence? It's like I said earlier, we need senators who are committed to representing all their constituents. And if they can't do that, then they should stop wasting our precious time. Once again, for those of you just tuning in, I'm Haneefah Khaaliq. I am running for the office of the United States Senate here in Indiana in 2022. And I'm starting my campaign right now because I believe that's what it's going to take in order for me to win. Now, there are so many ways to donate, and the name of my committee is Hoosiers for Haneefah. You can head over to ActBlue and give now. A one-time contribution is great, but I'm also appreciative for those who choose to subscribe to give each month. Now, 2022 is right around the corner. I'm starting my campaign now because I wanted to give Hoosiers an opportunity to get to know me as a person, right? Not as a candidate. Share my message, and even call me sometimes to chit chat. Now I know where I am, and I say this every time. I am a blue dot in a red seat, and I know that. But so what? In this race, this upcoming 2022 race, it's not about party, it's about truth. I'm asking Hoosiers from all around to reach down deep inside their consciences and stop being distracted by all the things about a candidate that don't matter a hill of beans. It doesn't matter that I'm a Democrat. I'm a Democrat moderate, and that means I'm progressive, but I can also be quite surprisingly conservative on some things. And it doesn't matter anyway, because whatever your voice is, that's what my voice is going to become. I will work harder to make a difference in Washington more than any other person you've ever known because I'm an outsider. It's an advantage. I've never been a politician. I don't have anything to prove to anyone. I don't have a voting history. I'm not a member of any clubs or organizations. And I can't be bought, sold, or bribed because I don't owe anyone anything except justice for Hoosiers. I'm used to doing my absolute best on the job with very little to no pay at all. And this is how you can be sure you can trust me. As a possible future United States Senator for the state of Indiana, I am humbled. And I promise to represent you, whether you are Black or white or Hispanic or Asian or of some other ethnicity, whether you are an immigrant or native, rich or poor, Democrat or Republican, independent, Christian, Muslim, atheist, educated, uneducated, straight or gay, female or male, in between, or if you choose not to identify, young or old, able or differently able. Rest assured, you have a new confidence in me. No other candidate is going to say that like that and mean that. I already have the pleasure of fighting for your rights every single day in what I do for a living. And most of all, I promise to be unafraid to hold the President of the United States, no matter who he or she is, accountable for their actions and to hold them to the highest standard on behalf of Hoosiers and the American people. In closing, before I open it up for questions, I want to make sure I share just a few things with listeners. First, I'm extremely happy to share with you that in Indiana, First, before I say that, I want to share with you that I'm extremely happy that Indiana has not only extended its moratorium on evictions through July, but it has also provided up to $25 million from the CARES Act. A discretionary fund was set up to create rental assistance to anyone who needs it. You can go to indianahousingnow.org for more information or call 877-428-8844. I want to make sure I repeat that, okay? So our governor extended the moratorium on evictions through July and also set up a rental assistance fund, okay, for anyone who needs it in Indiana. You can go to indianahousingnow.org for more information, or like I said, call 877-428-8844. Remember, folks, there's a lot going on in the world, but we still must take care of ourselves and our personal business. The second thing I want Hoosiers to know is that on Saturday, August the 15th, 2020, I'm organizing a Unity bike ride. Hoosiers for Haneefah and my senior advisor, Charlie, we are organizing and sponsoring a Unity bike ride all the way from Gary, Indiana to DC or to Indianapolis. And we'll be adding on some more information about that trip. I hope you'll ride with me. Please log on to my Facebook event page for more information. Let's ride together and demonstrate peace in our streets. My website is coming soon. The launch will be very soon, so please stay tuned. Until then, please visit my social media websites and my Linktree page, which is attached to all those social media sites for more information. Please don't wait until 2022 to give a donation or a campaign contribution. If you can, please subscribe to donate. I'm using contributions from people like you who believe in me to do all the things that politicians have to do in order to make their message heard. And since I'm new at all of this, I need your help more than ever. Finally, if you'd like to donate, if you'd like to volunteer with the campaign, thank you so much. We are still, my team is still growing. I've got about 20 dedicated individuals on the team, but I'm looking for people to represent the campaign in Terre Haute, Lafayette, hey Lafayette, and Bloomington. Again, that's Terre Haute, Lafayette, and Bloomington. So if you're listening to this broadcast right now, please text me at 317-999-5592, and let's see how we can bring you aboard. Finally, I want to give a great shout out to my team and everyone for all the help they continue to give me with these virtual town halls. I'm learning every day. Hey, it's not easy being a politician, folks, but I take it one day at a time, remain optimistic, and most of all, I'm excited about working for Hoosiers and working for you. Please remember to register to vote in this general upcoming election and fill out your census, okay? So with that being said, we will go ahead and take any questions. Are there any questions coming in?
Hello, everyone. My name is Greg Blanford. I'm the senior intern with Haneefah for Hoosiers, or Hoosiers for Haneefah. I got that backwards. This is my first broadcast, and I am looking at the expert right now, and I'm glad to join you all on this platform. Haneefah, we had a couple questions throughout the week, and they're actually talking about how we should define what are Democrats, what are Republicans, and what is moderatism. Could you explain that to us?
Well, certainly. I will address the latter part of that. What is moderatism? And when I describe that I am a Democrat moderate, what does that mean? So generally speaking, what you have is the two extremes. You've got the radical left and the radical right. And I find myself as a moderate because there are points made on at these different extremes that I can take the time to understand. And I think that's what's needed right now more than ever, is we need individuals, we need candidates like myself who are willing to listen to the arguments in both sides and see how we can bring it together. Now, I do this already every day in the job that I do, bringing people to the table, bringing people who have very opposite views and listening to them both and giving them a chance to negotiate and compromise with one another. And I think right now in this climate, in this political climate and atmosphere, more than ever, we really need to listen to one another, and we need to be able to be in a position where we can humble ourselves and try to do what is best, not for the radical left or for the radical right, but for the American people and, of course, for Hoosiers. So when I say that I'm a Democrat moderate, that is what that means. I will be willing to listen to people from individuals, politicians, candidates from both sides of the aisle to see how we can form a common, see what it is that we do have in common and how can we build from that.
Thank you for your answer, Haneefah. That enlightened me. Haneefah, there's another question here. What is your view on insurance? Is it a right, or is it something that is given by the government?
Okay, so so I think I understand the question. What type of insurance are we talking about? Just in general?
I think it's just a general question.
Okay, so the purpose of insurance, in my knowledge, I've come to know it as a type of protection that is given, whether it be insurance for vehicles, housing, health insurance, whatever it is. So I think that when it comes to insurance, everyone should be able to access it if it's something that they need. I guess it just depends on particularly what type of insurance that you're speaking of, that I would be able to go into more depth as to how I feel about it. But in general, I believe that yes, everyone should have access to insurance and be able to afford it. As I think that's probably the most important thing. No matter what type of insurance it is, you're able to afford. And I think right now we got a bunch of insurances, different types of insurances that are available for the American people. But there are people within our Congress who neglect to regulate the insurance field, and that's why a lot of Americans, as well as Hoosiers, are feeling alienated from acquiring any. So what would have to be done is probably more regulation and more oversight in that aspect.
Thank you. And I also too wanted to add to everyone that our lines are open 24/7. If you have any questions, feel free to text the moderator, me, at 219-680-9033. But most importantly, if you have any questions, feel free to call Haneefah at 317-999-5592. I don't have any more further questions, and there's no questions coming in right now.
Okay.
Haneefah, did you want to add anything?
Well, yes, I would. Thank you so much, Greg. Well, just lastly, everyone, I just want to announce I am Haneefah Khaaliq. I'm running for United States Senate right here in Indiana in 2022. And I'm starting my campaign right now because that's what I believe I need to do in order to win. There are so many ways to donate. You can head over to my ActBlue account right now. The name of my committee is Hoosiers for Haneefah, and I want to thank you so much for your future contribution. Also, be sure to visit any of my social media. I do not have a website yet. It is coming and will be launched very soon. Until then, visit my link tree. All of the information is there. And of course, a one-time contribution is great, but I am also very appreciative for subscribers. One last thing, folks, please remember next Saturday is July 4th. We will be celebrating our nation's independence. I'll be taking a day off from my virtual town hall. So hopefully, maybe if you live in Northwest Indiana, you'll see me in a couple parades around town. The next virtual town hall, though, will be scheduled for Saturday, July 11th, 2020 at 1 p.m. for Muncie, Indiana. So if you are listening, please share this with Muncie. I'll be focused on them next. Until then, just take care of yourself. Continue to stay safe out there as cases are our COVID cases, unfortunately, are on the rise. God bless you. God bless Indiana. And of course, God bless America. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you so much for that. I think that concludes our broadcast, and everyone have a good afternoon.